Engineer Gold Mines is focused on the exploration and development of the historic high-grade Engineer Gold Mine situated 32 kilometers southwest of Atlan, British Columbia. Engineer Gold Mines is fully permitted for surface and underground exploration with the drill program now underway. Engineer Gold Mines Limited trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol EAU. For more information, please visit us at engineergoldmines.com.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Ted Dixon, CEO and co-founder of InkResearch.ca. His website, CanadianInsider.com, home of the Canadian Insider Club. Welcome back to the show, Ted, and Happy New Year.
Well, Happy New Year to you and all your listeners, or as we say at Inc., Happy G-Year, which is what I think we have to look forward to, and basically what we ended up with at the end of 2020.
G-Year stands for what, gold?
No, government-led inflation. And that's been one of our key themes of 2020. We thought coming out of the as we dealt with the early stages of the pandemic, we would either have a D, deflation-oriented economy, or a G, government-led inflation-oriented economy. We really didn't see any other base case alternatives than those two. And as it turned out, on 23rd of March, the Canadian Insider Index, along with other indexes, stock market indexes around the world, put in their bottom on the back of massive government intervention in the economy, Fed intervention. On that day, I think Canadian Insider Index put in a 10-year low, and it ended the year, after doubling, less than 1% off of its all-time high. And over the last few days, it's blown through those highs and setting new highs, and I believe it set another new high today. So it's a G economy world that we're living in. It's a world that is being driven by government. You may not like that. It may not be your preferred choice, but as investors, we deal with the cards that we're dealt, and we're being dealt government intervention in the economy, and that's going to continue under now a blue sweep of U.S. Political institutions. The Congress and the White House on January 20th will be controlled by the Democrats, and they're already talking about increasing stimulus checks, and there's a lot more government spending out of Washington to come. So it is a G economy year, probably a G economy year on steroids in 2021.
What does that mean for Canadian insiders?
Well, we put out three big outlook themes for the next 3 to 10 years. And basically, it comes down to this. First of all, we believe that the great bond bull market is done. Okay? It's been a great trade. Lots of people have made a lot of money. It's been a multi-decade run. It started in the early 1980s. And it's gone on, and I think it ended this year. We believe it ended this year, and we believe it's done, because when you have the government spending and spending and spending, eventually the bond market is going to roll over. Okay, now I know there's a school of thought out there that says, no, the bond market doesn't care about government spending. Everything's so awful and everything's so bad, bonds are going to keep going up. Well, that assumes there's not going to be any inflation. You can't have inflation, persistent inflation and rising inflation expectations, which we have seen, because when I talked about the Canadian Insider Index bottoming on March 23rd, a few days earlier, inflation expectations bottomed, and they've been on a tear. And they're now, pick your time frame, but like 10-year inflation expectations as measured by the bond market are now right around 2%, the Fed's target level, and the Fed says, oh, no, we're not stopping there anymore. We're going beyond the 2%. So if you're betting against inflation, you're betting against the Fed and all its money printing. You may not like the Fed. It's not my favorite institution. But again, as investors, we have to deal with the cards that we're being dealt, and we have to, position ourselves in terms of the big trends we see. The other big trend, number two, is that passive strategies are going to underperform. We've had a decade or more people, investment advisors, institutional investors, pension funds, the whole range of it, investing in the S&P 500 index fund, right, and index strategies. That's done. Because the reason why that's done is because with interest rates going higher, all these tech stocks which are anchored in these funds are going to struggle, and they struggle today. We saw that today with the news of the Democrats sweeping the election in Georgia, the Senate runoff. Lo and behold, Canadian stocks rallied, and U.S. tech stocks, I believe, they were down. And that is, I think, just a foreshadowing of what's to come. This rotation from tech into resource plays, into value industrial plays, and that's where stock picking really comes into play, because there's value traps and value opportunity, and that's where insiders can really help, because if insiders are buying a cheap stock, that's probably a good sign. If they're not buying a cheap stock or selling it, that's a bad sign. So this is an environment that's really good for insider signals when you've got value stocks that are offering opportunity. And the third big theme is that Canadian stocks are going to outperform because of some of those factors I mentioned. We're a resource-rich market. We've got our fair share of value industrial companies, and I'm talking about the auto sector, for example, auto industries, auto part industries, and we've also got some innovative sectors as well. So it's been a great G-economy year, and in fact, people can go on CanadianInsider.com and look at our free videos, our Ultra Money free videos, and you'll see our three top performing morning report stocks of 2020 all had the stock symbol that began with G. Now I'm not going to say what they are, but the top performing stock was an electric vehicle company, and it was up over 1,400% from when we mentioned it in our report, and that starts with a G. And the other one was a digital, a cryptocurrency stock, and that stock symbol started with a G, and a renewable bioenergy stock, and that started with a G. So it was a G year, and we think we're in store for another G year coming up in 2021. These themes and these kind of big shifts, I think, tend to persist. We had a decade of passive investing, tech investing, S&P 500 investing. That's done. I think that's over. We're now into a readoption phase in the Canadian market. You're going to have institutional investors, financial advisors scrambling to get back into the Canadian market that they've been slowly exiting over the past decade or so. It'll be time for them to get back in.
We'll have more with Ted Dixon right after this.
Value from success. Growth in discovery. Golden Arrow Resources is a well-funded gold-copper exploration company with proven management and prospective properties in Chile, Argentina, and Paraguay. Golden Arrow trades on the Toronto Venture Exchange, symbol GRG, on Frankfurt, symbol G6A, and the OTCQB, symbol GARWF. For more information, visit us at goldenarrowresources.com or call Sean at 778-686-0135.
Media recognition from Bloomberg, Reuters, recycling trade publications. Patented process for 100% recovery of critical metals, including cobalt, lithium, nickel, manganese, aluminum. American Manganese is focused on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. American Manganese trades on the TSX Venture, AMY, the US, AMYZF, and Frankfurt 2AM. For more information, visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Ted Dixon. Ted, what's your outlook for gold and Canadian gold miners?
Right, great question. I know you've got a lot of listeners who are interested in that space. We put out in our gold report in the fall, we asked, will Biden make bullion boring? And our base case scenario is if the Democrats swept everything, that there would be sort of a period that was bearish for gold, not bearish in this sort of bearish in that it's going down 20% sort of mode, but just that it wouldn't be a positive environment for gold for a whole host of factors, including the prospect of more growth driven by government stimulus. And I know people say, well, yeah, but that's good for gold. Well, not if people think that it's going to be growth that's investable. Like if government spending is just going to checks, if it's just going to programs that don't create anything, then eventually that will be good for gold. And we'll see a fair share of that under the Biden administration. But a lot of it is going to go into renewable energy and investing in infrastructure and like we expect. And so there will be investment opportunities around that, which will draw money into it. And of course, now gold also has a competition with cryptocurrencies. So you've got some money going into there. So there's going to be some headwinds for gold. But I think that the other precious metals, I mean, I'm much more upbeat on the PGM space, the platinum group metals, and silver. PGM would be where I'm most interested. Then, between gold and silver, we're looking very closely at the gold-silver ratio to see if it'll break down below 70. It's right around there. It looks like it wants to. If it breaks below 70, that'll be very good for gold. Very good for silver. And, gold will tag along, but I just don't see gold being very exciting over the next few months. It'll have its moments. And for gold miners, it's going to be really tricky. And what I mean by that is if we get an inflationary environment, if we have oil prices continuing to move up, you're going to have to be really picky on what gold miners you invest in. Because if they have a high cost structure, that will be an anchor on the share price of that gold miner. And, even if gold goes up and up, which it probably will do, I just don't think it's going to go soaring here. You'll wonder, well, why isn't this gold miner going up? Well, if they have cost challenges, that's why. Now, on a deflation, it's a totally different story. Gold is the only game in town, and gold miners are the only game in town because you've got cost plummeting. If you've got oil heading back to $15, then, the bigger the gold mine, the better, right? Even you just can't get enough of it because the costs are plummeting. Your margins are increasing. You're going to have to be very picky with these gold miners. And I think, you're looking under this environment. What I really prefer is, first of all, polymetallic miners that have copper and other minerals involved with it, and high grade. If you're just doing pure gold, I would go with low cost, higher grade. Being low cost having to be part of the equation, miners, because then I think the gold price will stay firm. It's at very elevated levels, but you got to watch the costs on the mines and the implied costs of any of these junior mining properties. If they look like the economics of the mine are going to be great, that's fine. But if they're low grade and high cost, then you'll really have to do your homework on that. So it's it's going to be I think a very good 2021 for mining. I just would lean towards the industrial metals. And by the way, in British Columbia, I think, the setup for the Golden Triangle is probably pretty good because there's a lot of polymetallic plays in the Golden Triangle. So, I don't want to come across being, overly bearish on gold miners. I just think you have to pick, your spots. And I would prefer polymetallic mining, industrial mining, battery metals mining, miners. I mean, that would be the space I'm most interested in, in terms of the mining space anyway.
We'll have more with Ted Dixon right after this.
Aben Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia and the Yukon, trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the OTCQB, symbol ABNAF.
surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines. Avon's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at avonresources.com.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Ted Dixon. Ted, what do you expect to happen with crude and the Canadian dollar, which sometimes is closely tied to it?
Well, that's one of the things I learned in business school that I've stuck with all my life, because it's so simple, is that the best forecast for crude is the spot forecast, and the spot price. So I'm going to say it's going to trend around $50. But there's a wide dispersion of outcomes around that, for West Texas crude. I would say though that I think the Biden administration is going to be positive for Canadian oil and gas stocks. It's counterintuitive. I think we've talked about this before. But with control of the Senate, he'll be able to put whoever he wants basically in the Environmental Protection Agency. So if they're a little bit more pro-regulation, and again, may not be what I like or what I would recommend, but look, as investors, we have to we deal with the cards that we're being dealt with. And for Canadian producers, if the Biden administration restricts the growth of shale plays in the U.S., and we don't know that that's going to happen, but if we see, a sputtering of shale play growth, well, that's going to put upward pressure on the prices probably, because you're, just leaving everything else equal. Of course, there's all sorts of other things going on in the oil market. But everything else being equal, if the U.S. Production kind of sputters, well, that's good for Canadian producers. So, maybe sound counterintuitive, but I think, a Biden victory with being able to put, more regulation into the U.S. oil and gas industry is probably good for the Alberta oil and gas industry, assuming that, they don't become over regulated as well. So, it's maybe a bit of a counterintuitive game, but, that's just another reason to be bullish on Canadian stocks. We're sitting really pretty here, and it's hard for me to get bearish on the Canadian dollar. I don't have a strong view on it. I was never overly bearish on it. I'm agnostic on it, but I certainly, when you look at around the world, it's like, well, who are we competing against? And the Canadian dollar is fine. It's probably going to hang in there.
Cryptocurrency mania, Bitcoin especially, is that sucking money out of what people would call legitimate investments?
Well, I think, my personal view is cryptocurrency is a fantastic, has offered a fantastic opportunity. We've talked about this for many months, so it's not something new. I was reading one of the comments on one of our interviews that maybe Howe Street should get somebody on the show who knows what they're talking about with respect to Bitcoin. So, I'll take that feedback, but on the other hand, too, I'd much rather be lucky in the markets than be smart about them and wrong. And we've had a nice run in Bitcoin here, and it's all about the adoption cycle. So yes, there's going to be pullbacks. I don't know when it's going to be. I don't know how much. Look, I took money off the table when it broke through 20,000, and the next 2 weeks it was up at 30,000. So it's hard to play that space. But it's becoming less volatile. Bitcoin is becoming less volatile, it seems, and because you've got more institutional players moving in, so it's becoming a much more attractive store of value. It will compete with gold. Because it provides different qualities, and gold will never be displaced totally, because it offers some qualities that Bitcoin can never offer. But now so now you've got a nice kind of wide variety, not wide variety, but a nice set of alternatives. I don't want to call it alternative, but certainly investments that can help diversify risk against the current, financial system, the fiat money inflation risk, systematic risk. You used to really only have gold, but now you've got gold and cryptocurrency. And, I think the demand is going up for all of those. So, you'll have some money going into crypto, but you'll also, continue to have some interest in precious metals as well. So it's, it's not a winner-take-all situation, but the cryptocurrency space is very, very interesting. We do have live cryptocurrency quotes on Canadian Insider, and I do cover it in our Inc. chat, from time to time. I talked about Litecoin, for example, in December, because they're working on a privacy layer that it's not done yet. It doesn't know, it's still too early to say it's going to work. But if Litecoin is able to provide this new privacy layer, it's called Mimblewimble, that's going to really be groundbreaking in that it provides some form of privacy for financial transactions in a way that can be compliant with regulators. And I won't get into the whole sort of nuts and bolts of it, but basically, it's like the freeway putting a freeway in a tunnel so that you can't see the traffic on the freeway, but at the two ends, the regulators can check the traffic coming in and out if they want to. So it will be quite a breakthrough if they can do it. Still don't know if they can do it, but that's a story to watch in 2021 for sure. I'm really looking forward to watching that story, and I'm keeping my eye on it for sure.
Ted, thank you so much for chatting with us.
Well, Jim, thanks for having me back, and thanks for everyone tuning in.
My guest has been Ted Dixon, CEO and co-founder of IncResearch.ca, his website, CanadianInsider.com, home of the Canadian Insider Club. If you have any questions for Ted, you can send them to info@HowStreet.com. Our YouTube channel is Talk Digital Network. Find us on Twitter @HowStreet. We're also on Facebook. I'm Jim Goddard. Thank you for listening.
Comments made on HowStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com radio is a production of HowStreet Media Incorporated.